going to start off very quickly by applying moisturizer, and I am using my Neutrogena moisturizer. I'm going to be applying it all over my face as well as on my neck, and I will be using my Pro Longwear Concealer as an eye primer. I've been actually really just liking this as an eye primer. I think it's a lot better than the paint pot that I was using, or maybe I'm just being a little bit biased just because I ran out of it. But I'm going to be applying this all over my eyelid in order to create a base for my eyeshadow. The palette that I will be using is the Party Girl palette by BhCosmetics, and I will be using the orange color on the left side of the palette. I've had this palette for years now, and I've loved this palette for any colored look. It lasts so long, and just by applying some Fix Plus, the colors are even more vibrant than on the palette. So I'm just going to be applying this on the crease of the eye, and I'm going to be applying this on both eyes. And the brush that I'm using is a Sigma brush that came with my Bare palette. Once I believe I have enough on the crease, I will be using the yellow color on the left side of the palette as well. And I will be again applying Fix Plus in order to create the eyes a lot more vibrant, the colors. And this is a yellow tone base, and I'm going to be blending everything completely with a fluffy brush in a bit. And this is how the eyes look like without being blended so far. I will be now using the Anastasia Beverly Hills in the color Sand in order to highlight the brow bone. And I'm just using this in order to make it stand out a lot once I blend everything together. It's not going to be that harsh in a bit, you guys. We are going to be blending everything together. But it is the color Sand if you guys are interested in knowing what I had on my eyebrow bone. Now I will be using a fluffy brush. This brush is so old. It's my holy grail brush. I bought this brush a long time ago at Costco in a pack. If you guys are wondering, I always use this brush when I am blending. I have no idea why, but I'm just used to it, and I feel like the oldness just makes it work a lot better. But once everything's completely blended, that's basically how it's gonna look like. And it took a while to blend it that well, you guys. Now I'm gonna be using Soft and Gentle, and I'm gonna be using this on the inner eyes, on the corners of my eyes. And I'm just using a MAC brush. It's a fluffy brush that I got in a travel size kit a while back. I'm gonna be just using this on the inner corners of my eyes. Now we're gonna move on to gel liner, and I'm using the Maybelline gel liner in the color Blackest Black. And this is basically my favorite gel liner. I always use it, and I am just doing a very quick version of how I do my gel liner. If you guys want to go ahead and look at my video, I do have a tutorial on it, and this is basically how it looks. Now I'm going to move in to curl my lashes, and I will be applying falsies. I have no idea what the name of these eyelashes are. I know that they can be found on Amazon, so I will be linking them down below as well. And this is basically how it looks with the eyelashes on. Now I'm going to move on to my brows, and I am just going to be using one eyeshadow, and it is called the color Concrete by MAC. And this is usually the eyeshadow that I use just for the bottom, but I wanted to make my brows very sharp and very noticeable, so I am using a darker color than I normally use all over my brow. And this is just basically a very quick version of how I do my eyebrows. I might just be doing an eyebrow routine just because I always put it. Now we're moving on to mascara, and I am using the L'Oreal Voluminous mascara, and I will now just be blending everything completely together, and this is how it looks. Now for the foundation, I have been testing out the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. I might do just a single review on it just because I want to know how much it lasts. I haven't really been paying attention to it that much, but now I'm blending it with a beauty blender. And I am going to be doing this for a while until everything blends completely together. It is definitely a very light coverage and very dewy. Now we're going to move on to our waterline. I am using the L'Oreal True Match Crayon Concealer. I know it's not a eyeliner, but I am using it as this, and and I have been using it for a while and I really like it on my eyes. Now we're moving on to the concealer, and I'm using the 24-Hour Superstay Concealer by Maybelline. And I will be using this also as a highlight. I won't be using any prep and prime today, you guys. I am just doing this to highlight on the bottoms of my eyes. And of course, I am using a damp beauty blender in order to mix everything completely together. And this is basically how it's turning out. Now I'm moving on to blush, and I am using the color Harmony by BhCosmetics. Also dragging it below my neck in order to match everything completely together. Now we're moving on to a highlight, and it is a lovely gold highlight called Magnetic Appeal from BhCosmetics. I will be putting this on the tops of my cheeks as well with Soft and Gentle. And again, I will be putting it on the tops of my cheeks as well as the center of my nose. Now for bronzer, I am using Aphrodite's Shell by MAC, and this was from the MAC Alluring Collection, Aquatic Alluring Collection, and I've been absolutely loving this product, so that's what I'm using for that. Now we're going to go in for our nose and with the color Harmony, and then I'm just going to be softly brushing it through and then getting a fluffy brush that will mix everything completely together. And this is basically how it's turning out. Now I'm going to go back with the Party Palette, and I am using the orange color again with Fix Plus in order to put it on the water, around the waterline, in order to have a pop of color on my lids. And now I'm using the yellow color on the edges of my eyes, my corners of my eyes, in order to create again a beautiful pop of color. And this is basically how it's turning out. The last thing is basically to put mascara at the bottom lashes, and I love a bunch of mascara at the bottom lashes. That is definitely something I do on a daily basis, and this is basically how our eyes are. Now for our lips, I'm using the NYX and the MAC lip liners in the colors Ever as well as Strip Down. So the first one that I use is the color Ever, and then in the center I use Strip Down by MAC. And this is to create somewhat of an ombre effect and to make my mouth a little bit more pouty. Now I'm going to go in with lip gloss, and it is the color Broadway Bronze by Maybelline. And again, this is going to make my lips look a lot fuller, and I really have been liking this lip gloss, which makes me think that I am going to start getting into lip gloss a little bit more. You guys know I'm into matte finishes, but this is just so beautiful. And this is basically the end result. I hope you guys really loved it. I loved it, and I know a lot of you requested it on Instagram and requested it on my last video because this was the look from my June favorites. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below on any of the products that I did use. And this is basically the end result. Thank you guys so much for watching.